Josh Terrell. I am the principal here at Highland. I've been the principal for the last, I think this is my 10th year. Every time you see, I can use, obviously, students, I can use my own daughters as examples. Every time I have seen them, if they spend too much time on that, one, they're not getting sleep. For kids, especially if they're growing yet, which is obviously 99% of our kids here, if they're doing that, they're not getting enough sleep. When kids that don't get enough sleep, that really affects their education. It affects their alertness, it affects their retention in their mind. They're just not where they should be academically or athletically. So that's a big one, I think, with too much screen time.
My name is Mrs. Smith, and I teach health and elementary physical education and junior block. I would say even with my own 3 kids, I've seen them impacted academically, just being on screens too much instead of choosing to do homework or other chores. I have to remind them to do that over since they're on technology. So I would just say in my own home, but I've also seen it here at school, academically with maybe kids not getting enough sleep at night because they're on technology, on the screen too long, or they're trying to do homework and a notification would pop up maybe, and then they check the phone instead of focusing on their homework, I would say. Athletically, I guess I haven't seen it too much because they're not allowed to have phones in practice and stuff, but maybe again not being alert enough to function properly because they were up too late on screens.
Depending on what they're doing on it, are you talking, if you're talking about social media, are you also talking about that, or are you just talking about in front of a game, or both?
Anything. Yeah.
Anything?
Yeah, just on your phone or something.
All right. So to me, it negatively affects them because they are so in tune with everything that's going on around them. You know what I mean? So let's say I am on social media and I'm a 7th grader. All right. And I have a group of 10 people, for example, that are on social media with me, Snapchat or whatever, Instagram, whatever you guys, TikTok, you guys use that now, right? So I'm not on any of this stuff, so I don't know about it, but I know the effects of it just because I see it. For example, if someone has a friend over, for example, right, and you weren't invited, but they're there, right? Is that a big deal? It's not. But are you affected by it? Hey, why wasn't I invited? And now you become sad, right? You go to school the next day and like, geez, is she mad at me? How come I wasn't, And if you never had that stuff, right, it's a lot less of a deal because now you're so in tune with what everyone around you is doing, you can easily become, I think, depressed or get anxiety or feel sad, or you think you need to post something all the time, right? If I'm not on my phone keeping up with the latest what have you and this and that, right? And you take so much time doing that, right? That's less time you have doing other things like, spending time outside, spending time with family, reading, which is very important that you guys know, right? Can you imagine if everyone did as much time reading a book as they did on their phone? Wow. Wouldn't we all be a lot smarter?
Yeah.
Right?
Kind of like what I just said. Now they can watch Netflix on their phones, so that can be pretty addicting, especially if you're into a show. So instead of doing things like you're supposed to, like homework or family time or going to bed on time, they're watching Netflix, scrolling through Instagram. Like I said, getting a notification from a snap, then responding right away. So I would say those are some of the impacts. Not enough sleep, maybe not doing so well on a test because they're tired. Kind of not having their priorities in order. Yeah.
I think think there should be. What that limit is, I mean, I don't know. I guess in my opinion, I would say, you know, depending on their age, you know, anyone that's, to me, below middle school shouldn't have a phone, in my opinion. I question whether middle school kids should have a phone, but I know they're extremely handy in a lot of ways as far as, you know, parents keeping in tune with where you're at and all that stuff, because middle school kids are involved in a lot of stuff too. But, I mean, if you could do it and limit it to an hour a day, to me, that would be very nice. You know, and then high school maybe a little longer, but less is more, in my opinion, as far as better.
Why do you feel that way about having a limit on their phone?
Why do I feel that way? Well, the things I talked about before, like I said, the longer you're on your phone, the less you're doing of other things. You know, you're not outside playing catch or playing a sport. You're not, you know, spending time with family. I mean, obviously you can sit down with your family and still be on your phone, but it's not the same, in my opinion. You know, I think family time is really becoming something that is becoming less and less. You know, you don't see kids and families sit down and have a meal anymore, you know, so I think that affects your kids in a negative way. And I'm not saying that, you know, and I'm as much to blame as anyone. You know, I don't sit down with my family. We were so busy with stuff, and, you know, we don't do it enough. So if they're on their phone, that's even less time, right? So to me, the less time you're on your phone, I'll just add that I hope, you know, parents do see that, and I think there's some tools now that even the, you know, iPhones and stuff they're coming out with where you guys probably know more than I, but you can shut off their phones or shut off their data stuff, so you can
Yeah.
limit it, so, right? You guys know about that?
Yeah.
I'm glad. I mean, obviously, even the people that make these, that are making all the money on these things, realize that too much of this is not a good thing for our youth. So they're starting to see that. So I think they're coming with ways now, more and more, where we can make sure we're limiting kids, because we're seeing it now. So hopefully, you know, things will get better and students will be on those less.
How long do you feel a kid should be on their phones each day? Should there be a limit?
I think each child or student is different. I don't know about a certain time limit, but there's definitely some times when they shouldn't have their phone out. Like I said, homework time. There should be a set time before they go to bed so that they're not checking it while in bed. Family time, like family suppers or family game nights or get-togethers, definitely shouldn't have their phones out. So maybe not like a certain amount of hours, but definitely times during the day that they shouldn't have them out.
Why do you feel that way about having a limit on their phone?
I just think because some students and even adults are so addicted to their phones that they would be on them constantly and kind of forget about some of their other priorities, or not focused on some of the other good things in their life, like family and friends and like activities, because they're so into what's going on their phone. There's just so much they can do on their phone now with like Snapchat and Instagram and, like I said, Netflix and games. There's so many games on their phone that they could be on their phone all the time if they didn't have a time limit on it.
Do you have anything else to add to this topic?
Well, I mean, screen time isn't all negative. I was just thinking, like, our weightlifting program is all on phones now. So, and a student can work at their own pace, so they can go on their phone and keep track of their progress, and they can see how to do the lifts properly right on their phone, so that's an advantage. Some people, like you mentioned, athletically, some people don't, like, they think exercise is boring, and so when they're on a treadmill, they'll watch a show, they'll read a book on their phone. So again, screen time can be beneficial too, as long as it's done in moderation.
That's good.